Hi, I'm Barry Moore from the ActiveMarketer.com with a Tuesday tactic, this time for ActiveCampaign. So if you've been using ActiveCampaign for any amount of time, you're probably personalizing your emails with something like this. You'll have, when you send out an email, you'll use the contact's first name to try and personalize the email a little bit. I always put it into title case just in case that person happened to enter it in a lowercase or miscased their name. This will put the first letter of each word in uppercase so that it looks a bit better and we don't have that kind of typo going out. But the problem being, so this is going to say hi Barry when the recipient gets it, or whatever their first name is entered into the system as. However, sometimes you do end up with people in your contact list that haven't filled in that first name field. So what can we do about that? Well, if you send them a message like this, they're going to get this kind of ill-formatted kind of high space comma there, which was pretty obvious that there's meant to be something there, but you didn't have their first name. So how can we get around that? Well, what we can do is we can set a default value in there. So if they don't give us their name on one of the opt-in forms, we'll have something as a placeholder instead. So you can see I've got a couple of contacts here, one of which has a name and one doesn't. So if we were to send that email out to both, one's going to say hi Barry and one's just going to have that awkward space. So what ActiveCampaign does is it pulls their first name from this first name field. So if you go to lists and manage fields, you'll see all the fields that you've got in your particular setup. You can have the standard ones from ActiveCampaign and then a bunch of as many custom ones as you like. So if there's no value here, it's just going to print a blank space. So what we would rather do instead is put some kind of placeholder in there. So what you can have is a default value in that field. So you just hit this little edit icon over to the right and we can put something like hi there, right? And save it. So now when they get that email, instead of saying hi blank space, it's going to say hi there with a comma, which will look a bit better. But that only applies to any contacts joining the system after we put that default value in. So anyone who's already in the system isn't automatically going to get that there put into their account records. So what we need to do is go back and clean up all those people who don't have a value in their first name field. So what you can do is you can go to the contacts page here, and we're going to search for people who don't have a first name value. So you can click here and search contacts and then use advanced search and come up here and we'll find contact details, first name, and then we're going to look for the ones that is blank. So where the first name is blank, let's find all those people. So in my little demo setup, that should really only return us one person. And there we have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a little automation to give them that their value. But first, I want to tag all my contacts first. So if I screw it up, I can always go back and figure out who I was editing in the first place. So I'm going to go edit all, and I'm going to add a tag. And I'm going to call that tag action, no first name. Now, everybody in that list should get that tag. And again, we only have one in my demo setup, but if it was 1,000, then 1,000 people would be getting that tag. Now let's have a look at the little automation that we're going to run these people through. It doesn't have a start trigger because we're going to put them in manually. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look for, does this contact match a certain condition? And the condition we're looking for again is the first name blank. If the first name is blank, then we're going to run them down this yes branch, and we're going to update their first name field to there. If they're not blank, which they shouldn't be, but if somehow someone sneaks into this automation and their first name is already filled in, they're going to go down the no branch. Now I've put these little wait steps in here just to catch people as they go through, so we can double check at the end who's waiting on each side. So we should ideally have nobody waiting on this side and all the people who had no first name waiting on this side. So we just need to make sure that automation is active, and then we'll go back and And then we'll go back to our contacts list and we're going to look for everybody with that tag, right? So action, no first name, right? So that should, again, in our test setup, should only be one person. Then I'm going to do an edit all again, and I'm going to add them to that automation. And the automation I'm adding them to is demo update first name field. Click add, boom. Click apply. It's going to tell us how many people are going to run through that automation. Boom. Now I'm just going to give it a minute. And then you'll see that now if you look at the contact record, it says there. So if we send an email to this person, it's going to come out saying, hi there. So just to show you what that looks like, we'll go back and we're going to send this to both people on our list. And while that's sending, let's go back and have a look at the automation. And we refresh this page, and we should have nobody waiting on the no side, and then one person waiting on that yes side. So that person went through and got it updated, just as a bit of a double check. All right, so here you have that email that went out to our contact that had a first name, so it says hi Barry. And then here's the one that went out to their contact that didn't have a first name, and it says hi there. Now, it's uppercase that T because I had that title case modifier in there. So I probably would want to take that off now to make sure it just says hi there in lowercase. But that's how you do it. Go into your fields, manage fields, put a default value in there. Then we want to find everybody who currently doesn't have a value for the first name, run that through that little sample automation to give them their value in their first name field, and then everyone's accounted for. Hope that helps, and I'll see you on the next Tactics Tuesday. If you want to learn more about ActiveCampaign, I'd urge you to check out my best-selling ActiveCampaign training course, ActiveCampaign Quick Start. You can find out all about it over at theactivemarketer.com/AC training. Hope to see you in the course.